Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a September reading wrap-up. So I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read this month, talking about what they're about and what I rated them. I've never done a wrap-up before, so I'm really excited to get into this. Yeah, let's just get started. I have read 15 books this month. There's a couple that I DNF, but we're still going to be talking about them today because I still read part of it. In my last video, I talked about all the books I had read this summer. Some of those books I started at the beginning of September because I just started school this week, so I was still on summer technically. We're not going to be talking about those since I already talked about them in my last video, which if you haven't seen that yet, you should go watch it. So I'm going to be starting with the book that I was reading when I filmed that video, which is Highlander Most Wanted by Maya Banks, and that is the second book of the series. The first book is Never Seduce a Scot. These books are about different clans, and I already talked about it in my last video, but there's just multiple clans, and in both the books it talks about the brothers of one of the clans. The first one, the oldest brother had to marry the daughter of a different clan, and so it goes into their kind of love story. It's forced proximity because they're forced to be married and forced to live together. The girl is deaf, but everyone thinks that she's daft because she obviously can't always tell what's happening around her, and if someone's trying to talk to her and she's not looking at them, then she's not really going to answer. But it's just because she's deaf, and the man that she marries ends up finding that out. So the book kind of goes into that. And then the second one is his younger brother who meets a girl from a different clan. She has kind of been through a lot and nobody really knows. So it's about Genevieve and Bowen. Genevieve is locked in the McHugh Keep, which the McHugh is a clan, but it's not the clan that she is originally from. She was actually abducted and taken there by a cruel man who is now dead because he also did some cruel stuff to the girl from the first book. So the brothers were trying to kill him. You should read the first book first. So yeah, Bowen ends up having to stay at the McHugh Keep, and so they end up falling in love. Yeah, it's about their story, and it was really good. I gave it 3 stars. The first book I gave it 4 stars. It was a good story, but I wouldn't read it again. I enjoyed it though, and I definitely recommend it if you like something that's more fantasy. The next book I'm going to talk about is a series, and it's the Shatter Me series. I actually filmed a video of my reactions to reading these books. I haven't finished the whole series yet, so you probably haven't seen the video yet. The next couple ones are Shatter Me, which is the first book, Destroy Me, which is the novella, Unravel Me, which is the second book, Fracture Me, which is a novella, and Ignite Me, which is the third book. And I'm on the 4th book right now. I haven't finished it yet. I've kind of taken a break because obviously reading all those back-to-back books, I kind of wanted to read some other books first in between. But for the first one, Shatter Me, I'm just gonna read the summary of it. One touch is all it takes. One touch and Juliet Ferrars can leave a fully grown man gasping for air. One touch and she can kill. No one knows why Juliet has such incredible power. It feels like a curse, a burden that one person alone could never bear. But the reestablishment sees it as a gift, sees her as an opportunity for a deadly weapon. Juliet has never fought for herself before, but when she's reunited with the one person who ever cared about her, she finds a strength she never knew she had. So basically it's about this girl, Juliet, who has this power where if she touches anybody, she can kill them. So she's locked up in this asylum place and ends up meeting someone from her past and gets out. But there's this group called the Reestablishment. The world is in ruin, and basically it's just kind of global warming, I guess. They've just killed a lot of people, but they want Juliet because she has a power that she can kill people really easily, so they try to convince her to join them, and it's kind of that whole story. And there's some romance subplots, and yeah, there's lots of plot twists. There was one plot twist within the first 50 pages, which I loved. I will talk more about the series. You'll see it in the video that I'm filming of my reactions, so I won't talk more about that one. But the first one I gave 5 stars. I really liked it. The novella I gave 3 stars. The second book I gave 4.5 stars. The novella after that I gave 3 stars, and the third book I gave 4.5 stars. I definitely recommend reading the novellas if you're going to be reading the series, because they kind of give insight on the point of views of other characters in the book, so it's really fun to see their point of views in it. The next book I'm going to be talking about is 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, and I actually DNF'd this book. I didn't realize what the book was about. I thought it was a cute romance. After reading the Shatter Me series, some of it, I wanted to go into some romance book, but it was sad and I was not prepared for that, and I did not want to read something sad at the moment. So I DNF'd it and gave it 2 stars. I think maybe if I knew that it was gonna be so sad before I read it, then maybe I could have finished it because I would have gone in like expecting that. And if I was in the mood for something sad, then I would have given it more stars, but I was not in the mood for that, so I gave it 2 stars. If you're in the mood for something sad, then I recommend the book. Basically, it's about a girl named Poppy and a boy named Rune, and it's a childhood friends to enemies to lovers trope. They were like best friends when they were younger, but then, oh wait, I guess it's like childhood friends to lovers to enemies to lovers. They were like best friends when they were kids, and then they became lovers, but then Rune had to move away back to his home country. Poppy cut ties with him, like stopped talking to him, blocked him on everything, and he had no idea why. And so then he finally came back like 2 years later and tried to talk to her, and she like wouldn't tell him what happened or why she cut him off. You kind of find out what the reason why she cut it off, and it goes more into that story. But yeah, I gave it 2 stars. I mean, I'd recommend it, but it wasn't like the book for me at the time. The next book I read is Bad Boys Break Hearts by Mikhail Smeltzer. I don't know how to pronounce that. This one I also DNF'd. This one is about a girl named Rory and a boy named Mason. It's like childhood friends to enemies to lovers again. I can't remember much about this book, but here's the summary. Mason Wade, star pitcher of the Aldridge University baseball team, is a lot of things. Rich, hotter than sin, the campus reigning bad boy. We knew each other once upon a time, but even if I'm named after a princess, it doesn't mean my life is a fairy tale. My plan is to keep my head down, get my degree, and leave this town. But the moment Mason Wade recognizes me, all my carefully laid plans come crumbling down. He's decided he wants to make my life a living hell, but I'm not so easy to push around and won't put up with his bully playground antics. Too bad for me, I've never been able to resist him. So yeah, since I DNF'd it, I still read like 75% of the book, but I don't remember much about it. Apparently it's a series, 5-book series. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars, even though I DNF'd it. So maybe it was good, but I don't remember much about it. The next book I read was The Bright Side by Kim Holden. This book was another sad one, but I actually finished it this time. I also went into it not knowing it was a sad book, so I was like, you know, back-to-back sad books. I didn't even know were gonna be sad books. It was like weird. This one is about a girl named Kate, and she's like this happy, giddy girl and runs into this guy who's more like grumpy. So I think it's like a grumpy sunshine trope. She also has a best friend named Gus who calls her Brightside, which is why it's called Brightside. She has had like a rough past, but she has remained like optimistic, which is why her best friend Gus calls her Brightside. But basically she leaves her old town and moves to Grant, Minnesota to go to school, and meets this grumpy guy whose name is Keller. Basically they have a connection, and it's just like about their love story, but it's also a sad story, so beware when you start reading that book. It's sad, but it was really good. I only gave it 3 stars, but I really enjoyed the book and I definitely recommend it. I probably wouldn't read it again, but I liked it. The next book I read was called Bad Intentions by Charlie Rose, and this is actually part of a series. I'm pretty sure it's a 3-book series, but this is the 2nd book. I never read the first one. I just was recommended the 2nd book, kind of just like as a standalone. But this is about a girl named Lo and a guy named Dare. Lo has gone through a lot in her life, and she has a younger brother, and they move to this town where she gets a job, and they're kind of trying to leave their past life behind and start a new one, start fresh. So her younger brother goes to high school, he's like a senior, and she has to find a job. They move in with their dad who's there, who they haven't talked to in a long time. But yeah, she meets this guy Dare who works at a tattoo shop, and she starts working there as well for a 2nd job. And yeah, it's basically about their love story. It's kind of, I think it's like enemies to lovers or just friends to lovers. Basically Dare's like this really closed off guy, and like it's like really grumpy. I think it's another like grumpy sunshine, but Love's not really a sunshine. Yeah, it was super cute. I gave it 4 stars. And then the 2nd book is about her younger brother. He meets a girl who has also gone through some hardship, and so they kind of like connect in that way, and I would say that's also enemies to lovers. But yeah, that one I gave 4 stars, so I definitely recommend those books. The next book I read is Falling for Temptation by MJ Hendricks. This book I gave 4 stars. It's about this girl named Harley and a guy named Adam, and Adam has grown up in like a farmhouse with his family, and he has never really met anybody outside of his small hometown where basically every girl is his family, like he's related to somehow. Him and his brother and one of their friends convinced their parents to let them go to college, and they've always been homeschooled, so they've like, you know, haven't been out, but they're just going for like agriculture. So they go to school and he meets this girl who is like the opposite of what his parents want him to like or like to go for, like the type of girl. And her name's Harley. She has tattoos all over her body. She says stuff that people at his hometown like would never say. Yeah, he ends up falling for her anyways. So it's their story, friends to lovers. And it's like the opposite of like good girl, bad guy. Like it's bad girl, good guy. So like she's been through a lot and he hasn't. He's homeschooled. He's always like, he's like closed off and whatever, but she kind of like opens him up. And this is also a series. So the second book, I haven't read that yet, but it's on my TBR. It's called Sing Double, and apparently it's kind of like the same thing, but it's like ×2. So like the guy is extra innocent and the girl's, she's not extra bad, but you know, he's like extra closed off. But yeah, I gave that book 4 stars. So if you're wanting a bad girl, good guy kind of book, I definitely recommend that one. The next book is A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. This one was a really cute read. It's Enemies to Lovers, and it's about a girl named Ren and a boy named Crew. And basically Ren at her school is like the person everybody thinks is like perfect and innocent, and Crew is like his family basically owns the school, like the school's named after him, and he is like really grumpy. It's another like Grumpy Sunshine, and he's like always so rude to her, and she's like nice to everybody but like doesn't ever like pay attention to him or look at him or anything because she's kind of scared of him because he's so grumpy. But yeah, it's about their story. Chris is here now, so if you hear him in the background, ignore him. I gave that book 4 stars. It was definitely a good read. The next book I read was Blindside by Candy Steiner, and this one is about a girl named Gianna and a guy named Clay. And Gianna works for like the public relations at this college, so she has to gather up like the football players if they're doing interviews or whatever after games, and Clay is like the star football player. This one has a fake dating trope. Basically Gianna has like a crush on this musician that she like watches at a bar all the time, and Clay and his girlfriend just broke up. So basically they make this pact to, you know, fake date each other for a little bit so that he can get his ex-girlfriend back and she can get this guy or whatever, because she doesn't have much experience with like dating people, so she doesn't know what to do. So yeah, it's the fake dating trope and friends to lovers, I guess. And I gave that book 4 stars. The next book is The Play by Elle Kennedy, and it is the 3rd book in the Briar U series. So I read the first 2 books like months ago, but I finally got this 3rd book from the library, and then I also read the 4th one after this one. The book is about a girl named Demi and a guy named Hunter. Basically the whole series is like about these hockey players at this university, and it goes through like 4 different hockey players and like their experience with love, and usually they're like these bad boys whatever, like don't date, and then these girls come along and they go soft for them. So that's basically like what each book is about. This one is like Demi has been in a 7 or 8 year long relationship and finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her, finds out from Hunter. So yeah, she breaks up with him and then is like friends with Hunter and they turn into lovers. And then the dare is this girl who's really private and shy and still like in her shell in college, and she's part of the sorority. And one night they play Dare and the sorority girls dare her to go up to like the most popular hot guy on the hockey team, and she does, and it's basically just like another fake dating trope. So they start like fake dating to like get back at the sorority girls who are really mean to her, but then it ends up turning into real dating. So yeah, it's like friends to lovers. The Play I gave 3.5 stars, and the Dare I gave 3 stars. So the series is really cute. It's definitely like fall vibes, so I definitely recommend reading it during the fall. The next book I DNF'd, and it's called The Problem with Forever by Jennifer Armentrout. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I DNF'd it. It was good, but I kind of got bored after a little bit, and it's like these kids who grew up in foster care home together, and the foster parents were not nice to them. So the boy always tried to protect her and would like stand up for her when she got in trouble, and like, would take beatings for her. After like one night something happened and they were separated and went to different families, so she got adopted by some doctors who helped her for like 4 years, helped her come out of her shell and like helped her with her trauma. So she finally is going back to public school, and when the last class of the day she sees the boy who she grew up with, and he's going to this school, and basically she's been working on herself for the past 4 years, so she like obviously isn't like better yet, but she's been working on it, but he hasn't, so he still has trauma, and so she tries to start helping him with that stuff, and he's still like kind of getting into trouble. But yeah, it kind of got boring after a while, and so I was like halfway through the book and I just DNF'd it, and yeah, I gave it 3 stars, so it's still like a good book and I would recommend it, and I'll probably be going back and reading it, but I think I saw other books that I would have enjoyed better that I just wanted to read instead. So yeah, that's all the books I have for you today. Make sure to like and subscribe right down below, and leave a comment of some other video ideas for me to do in the future, and yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.